we've been through some rather chaotic times in the last few years. During the COVID pandemic, supply chains got really messed up and lots of things became unavailable at the supermarket. And that wasn't just because of panic buying. Actually, global supply chains really did get slowed down and messed up through that whole period. And I think that gave people quite a pause for thought, because it was sort of the first time in a lot of our lives, I feel, certainly for me, where you went to the store and there just was not what you wanted to buy on quite a few different products. I mean, here bread ran out, even flour and baking supplies got quite low. So it was a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of people, I think, to really think about how secure is our food supply. The thing about food is you need to have it when you need to eat it, because we all need to eat food to stay alive. And what we have right now in this global market that we all have to live in is a very long, logistically complex global food supply chain where food is moving as a commodity all over the globe. And that it's like really hard to know where your food is coming from what country, from what year. It's just traded all over the place. And then, of course, when we have a disruption, that can go wrong. So what we really, really need is a minimum level of local food production right where we live. And that needs to be pretty close to where we live, within like 100 or a couple of 100 miles. Because if something goes wrong, an environmental catastrophe, another pandemic, the world is a pretty unstable place right now. We need to be able to get that food to the people. And we need that food to be there when we need it. And for that to happen, we all, as consumers, need to support the farmers that are growing that food for us to eat in our local region. What that means, what is important, the activity we can take, is finding a farmer and buying direct from them. If we can't buy direct from a farmer, it's going to a local store that stocks food from local growers and buying our food there from them. It's maybe joining a community-supported agriculture program where you buy direct from a farmer, you sort of subscribe to a food box that gets delivered to you. Going to farmers markets is a great way to meet the farmer, even if you can't manage to get there every week. It'll help you to build connections and know where you can get your food from. Because if we don't support farmers now while they're growing food for us, if they go out of business because people aren't buying it because they're chasing cheaper products that are being imported from who knows where, well, when we need that food, when something goes wrong and we need those farmers to be feeding us right there in our home communities, they're not going to be there. And agriculture is not something that can just scale up at the snap of your fingers. It takes months and potentially an entire year to have a crop for sale. So we have to support our farmers right now, so there's always going to be food available for us when we need it. So the next time you are at the grocery store or putting together a meal in your kitchen, start thinking to yourself, where did this food come from? Do you know where it comes from? If something happened in the global supply chain, it got delayed or interrupted, do you know where to get that food? Could you substitute that food from something in your local community? Well, let's just start asking those questions so we actually know where to get food when we need it. I want to talk now about what you can do on an individual level. So we've talked about, starting to know where food is coming from the grocery store and finding a local farmer. But what can you do starting right now to build skills for making yourself more food secure? And what I want to talk about there is eating seasonally and learning how to cook from scratch, from base ingredients. And it's really important to understand the cycle of the agricultural year. We've sort of got a bit disconnected from the fact that Food is seasonal. Not all things are available at all times of year. And if they are available in your location when it's out of season for that thing, they're either coming in from the other side of the world or from thousands of miles away, or they are being produced in a greenhouse to extend the season or whatever. But greenhouses are massively energy intensive. Here in New Zealand, if you want to eat tomatoes in the winter time, those tomatoes are being grown in giant greenhouses that are heated using coal burners. So coal tomatoes are not very environmentally friendly, and they don't taste very good either. And when you're forcing a plant to grow in a season that it doesn't want to grow, it's not going to be a healthy, happy plant, and it's not going to make highly nutritious food. So I feel it's really important for everybody to start learning about the seasons of growing, what things grow at what times of year for you, where you live, and that's going to be different for everyone depending on where they are in the world. Maybe you can get tomatoes a lot more of the year than I can, but here in New Zealand, tomatoes are really just a summer and into the early autumn thing that you can get. So when tomatoes are super abundant, that's when you want to preserve them for later rather than going to buy fresh tomatoes in the wintertime. Preserving food when it is abundant, when it's in season, is a great skill to start picking up, because not only is the food much more nutritious when you're eating it when it's supposed to be eaten, it's also much cheaper than when you're buying it off season when it's been shipped in or grown in a greenhouse using coal to heat it. So that's things like just packaging up and putting it in the freezer for later. That's the easiest thing to do. You could get a dehydrator and dehydrate food that's suitable to go in a dehydrator. You can learn to can food into jars, and then that stores for a really long time, and it's really, really good. And you can even make it up into ready-to-go foods like pasta sauces, tomato sauce, salsa, things like that. And if you really, really want to get dedicated to the process, you could get a freeze dryer. Now, I don't have a freeze dryer. They're extremely expensive, but if you want to go all in on this stuff, a freeze dryer is sort of the ultimate in food preserving technology. Food that is grown and eaten in its season tastes amazing, and its nutritional profile is much better if you're eating it hours or just days after it has been picked. So find a local farmer, support them, learn to cook from scratch, learn to preserve food when it is abundant in season, and you're going to support your local community and you're going to support your own health and well-being. And that is something we can all do right now to start making a difference in this world.